I happened to look at the calendar and realize that we passed up a very important day this past Sunday without any recognition at all of a very important birth date that happened back in 1880. William Claude Duncanfield was born, and I am talking about none other than W.C. Fields. I'm fortunate enough to have on the line right now Ann Ruth Fields, better known as Ruth. I guess that's what they call you, right?
Yes.
You go by Ruth more often than Ann Ruth. Anyway, you are the daughter-in-law of W.C. Fields.
Yes.
What kind of a man was William Claude Duncanfield? We've heard so much from reading and probably gossip because of the character he portrayed on the screen that he actually hated kids and dogs and was a mean man. Is that true?
Oh, no. That's so wrong. As far as I know, he was just a very kind person, and he liked kids. In fact, when our first child was born, W.C. the third, he came to the hospital. I don't know how many times to see him. And then he took us home from the hospital, and afterwards, I would visit him, and he'd take Bill through the house, and he'd carry him. Every time I went to his house, he'd meet us at the door and carry his baby all through the house. He was a sweet person, very sincere.
When was the first time you met W.C.?
Oh, no, I have to think. 1942.
Uh-huh.
When we were married.
So he was making pictures then, of course, wasn't he?
Yes, not too many. I think possibly just one more. I remember he was working on the Song of the Open Road at that time, and I don't know if that was the last one or not. Ron would know more about that.
I wish I had some information in front of me because I've got all sorts of literature on W.C. Fields.
Uh-huh.
And, of course, some of the great pictures, My Little Chickadee and Never Give a Sucker an Even Break and such wonderful entertainment classics. But,
They were all good, I think.
yeah, they were. I'd like to know, was he the kind of guy that was always funny in real life?
No, not really. He was quite, very, what shall I say, ordinary. He was funny, yes, but he was very serious at times and very sincere. And
in other words, there was a time for comedy and there was a time for being straight, too.
yes. The only time I remember his really acting funny was when the baby, Bill, who was W.C. the third, started crying. He was kind of a noisy baby, and we'd go over there, and the child sometimes would cry and cry and cry. So one time, he put on that great big old raccoon fur coat, you know, you've seen pictures of it, and his, I believe it was a straw hat, and a cane. And he started to sing and dance, and the more he did that, the more the kid cried. Sorry, the dog is barking.
Let me ask you this, Ruth. In the movies, W.C. talked with that, ah, yes, type of voice. Is that the way he really sounded when he was just talking like himself?
Well, a little bit. Not quite so exaggerated. It was, he had a little twang there, or whatever you call it, but not as exaggerated as in the movies.
Let me ask you this. Did he actually drink, like we've heard?
Well, I don't know. I never saw him drunk. I know he drank, but I never saw him drunk. I understand that he was drinking all the time, but you would never know it. And I frankly think that was only at certain times.
That kind of goes along with what most of the books that I've read indicated, that he actually hated drunks.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. He had no use for them.
A lot of the books, well, not a lot of them, but at least one that I recall, and I couldn't put my finger on it if I had to, indicated that W.C. Fields didn't recognize his son, or in other words, your husband, as being actually his son. Now, you say that's not true at all, is it?
Oh, that's not true. In fact, we have letters here addressed to my son, his son, my husband, when my husband was in the Navy. And he would write to him regularly. And in fact, he even called him up. And he was proud that he was in the Navy. And no, they were quite friendly. Towards the end, that was, I don't know before the time I met him, but they were very friendly.
Let me ask you this, Ruth. Could you believe the upsurge in interest in W.C. Fields that came along so many years after he had passed away? I believe he passed away Christmas Day, 1946.
Yes,
Did it kind of shock you and the rest of the Fields family at the prominence he again achieved so many years after his death?
I know. It was strange to me because he was just an ordinary, regular, everyday person when I knew him, and I don't know, maybe other people realized it afterwards, but no. I don't know. I can't say too much about that.
Uh-huh. Well, at any rate, your son is writing a book, in fact, has written a book on W.C. Fields by himself.
Yes.
And I believe that is still available if people are interested.
Yes, it's still available.
It brings out a lot of things that you wouldn't find in some of the other books, including sketches of the pool table routine he did on vaudeville. And
most of that book is just W.C. Fields himself, his letters, and some of his scripts that he wrote, and his drawings. He was quite artistic, he has quite a number of drawings, cartoons in that book. In fact, I think at one time he was considering doing that in place of movies.
Well, he certainly was a talent, and I'm glad he was around because he pointed out, I suppose, a lot of character situations that we all find ourselves in, and are able to laugh, or at least we're able to laugh at those things because of him. I guess I would consider it very proud to have said that I talked with his daughter-in-law, Ruth, and if possible, sometime I'd love to be able to talk with one of your sons about the work and the research that they're doing, digging up even more information about the great W.C. Fields.
Well, Ron is working on another book and also working on a play. So there will be more coming up shortly, I think. And if you should want to talk to the W.C. the Third, he's in Philadelphia. Isn't that strange?
The place where W.C. Fields didn't particularly say he enjoyed, right?
Yeah, that's what they say, but I think he did. Because, every time he was near there, like even in New York, he'd go down to Philadelphia to see his folks. He was quite a family man. He was very friendly with his family.
Let me ask you this. We've always heard that rumor, Ruth, and if I can bring this up. Supposedly engraved on his tombstone are the words, "I'd much rather be in Philadelphia." Is that true?
No. He has a plaque over at the Forest Lawn in Glendale, and it's just W.C. Fields in 1880, 1946, that's all.
Okay, so there again, a lot of the talk about W.C. Fields is spread, and another myth got started someplace along the line.
There's so many untrue things about him, but he was one of the kindest people I've ever known. He was very, very kind, and he loved his grandson, and also his son.
Well, Ruth, you're very kind, too, to spend some time with us today. If you'll hang on, I want to make sure I get some information that'll enable me to contact your son, and we'll talk with him sometime, too, if that's okay.
Yes.